let's let's transition just a little bit into Hitch. So you mentioned Hitch. Yes, I agree. Many things I don't agree with him on. He had many problems. I think the endearing thing about Hitch though is that his problems were just so likable, right? You said he gets
True.
away with insulting people because of his charisma, and I completely agree. I mean, yeah, he wasn't without his issues, let's say, but to me at least, just such an endearing figure. So did you run into him about the same time you ran into Richard Dawkins? Because I feel like that would be a very YouTube, very in line with the algorithm. It's here's a little Richard Dawkins, a little
Yeah,
Hitch.
yeah, it did the natural progression. It was Dawkins, Harris, and then Hitchens. And Dennett, I've never particularly enjoyed his stuff. I feel that he's a bit dry, not only in speaking but also writing. Although I respect him as a thinker, as a philosopher, but I've never enjoyed his work really. I found it, as I said, dry. I mean, his book Consciousness Explained didn't explain it very much, I must admit. I left quite a riveting review on Goodreads. You can probably read it and see that I was a bit agitated by reading it. No, Hitchens, I probably first read God Is Not Great in 2018, maybe. I mean, obviously I was into Dawkins probably 2014-ish. So it did actually take a while for me to get to Hitchens. I'm not really sure why. I suppose, yeah. I mean, obviously they both have their sound bites, but there's something about Dawkins that was so militant and so entertaining and soundbitey, you know. And also I read The God Delusion at the same time, 2014, 15. So so I read his book and I was even more familiar. So I kind of stuck with him, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hitchens only in the past few years, I've really known about him. I've probably seen most of his videos on YouTube by now because I tend to just rewatch them. People have like comfort foods. Well, if I have just a very lazy day, or like if I'm trying to sleep, no word of a lie, I literally just put any video of his on, or a debate, or comedy stand up, and I don't even listen to it necessarily. I just have it on, and it's like a comfort food, you know. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, that's such a good such a good analogy. I think there's something about Hitch and his love of friendship that just turning him on is like having a friend in the room.
Yeah.
And when you are into the sorts of things that Hitch was into, it's nice to be able to just turn that on and have it there present with you. Completely agree. Yeah, I have a few playlists on YouTube, but one of them is Hitch, entitled Hitch Slap, and it is just full of videos either I've seen or I like or I still need to watch.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I can't get away from the Hitch. We were just talking about earlier. You have the shirt on, and then I had brought out the candle. So yeah,
Yeah.
we certainly are. I describe myself as an acolyte.
Yeah, well, I
As
did say
much.
that I'm past. I did say that I'm past my deifying phase, but maybe the audience would reject that
Oh yeah,
at this point in time.
if they could see the fantastic piece of art I have up of a Hitch on the wall, I'll have to show it to you after. But it's a sort of a mosaic, but it's Hitch holding a glass of Johnny Walker Black, of course, and he's surrounded by a halo, and the halo is made up of excerpts of the Quran and and the King James Bible. I can't remember the artist's name from here, but it was a fantastic piece, and I found it online, and I was like,
Wow.
well, that'll be mine. So, yeah, I yeah, certainly think he'd probably be horrified. So I try not to deify him. And like we
Yeah,
said,
no. With that said, he probably would be quite horrified because
yes,
all his life he was fighting against the dictator, the celestial North Korea, the
right,
the worshippers of the deities, and now he's seen as one. So
yeah.
we're kind of just doing the opposite of what he said.
Yes, I engage in it as much as I can, tongue in cheek as possible. So, you know, he loved a good joke, so I think he could appreciate it. Um, but yeah, I mean, gotta love the Hitch. I think
How could
the
you not?
yeah, the personality there alone, the writing, you know, the ability to speak. Martin Amis said once that he not only spoke in complete sentences, but in complete paragraphs. Uh, it, and it's true. If you listen to him speak, I mean, it's just it's quite impressive. You know, and then you get the voice to go along with it, and
Oh, the
you know,
voice, yeah.
the voice. I think it's referred to as like I don't know what they that specific
That
type
husk
of
or something, whatever
yes
you can,
of
yeah.
British accent. I mean, if whatever his IQ is when he speaks, it automatically adds about 15 points
And
to being
I think
perceived.
any viewers or listeners, their IQ spikes up whenever they listen to him as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's the bypass. Probably why you turn it on right before you go to sleep. It's like a baby going to
yeah,
sleep.
that's
You know when
true.
they say
That's true.
they say to play Mozart for your kids, right? When they go to sleep, that's what we're doing it later. Except we're using Hitch. Um, yeah, he's definitely by far away my favorite author. And have you what have you read of him? Have you just read God Is Not Great and then
So I've read, yes, I've read. I first read of his God Is Not Great, and then I probably read Mortality, and then arguably, oh no, yeah, I don't know which order actually, but I've read God Is Not Great, arguably Hitch 22, um, Letters to a Young Contrarian. Just trying to see if I've missed any out.
you read? Didn't you read recently the entire Portable Atheist? Of course, that's not all of course,
Yeah,
his
yeah.
work, but he wrote the intro, and you know, obviously
Yeah, I've
edited.
also checked that out. And you know, he did a foreword. I can't remember if you said that you checked it out yourself, but he did. I think you were reading at the time, weren't you? Um, but he did the foreword for every single entry, and I can't tell you how much. It was only a few sentences long, but I can't tell you how much pleasure there is in reading, you know, some Hitch that hasn't already been read. You know, and I've got his. I can't get it out now, but I've got Blaming the Victims. It is his dialogue in
Yes.
I think it was like 1990 something, about the Palestine and Israel sort of conflict. So I'm looking forward to that. It should be interesting. But yeah, I mean, I can't actually remember. I think that might be all that I've read of him, but I really can't remember at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
The
yeah,
the unread Hitch, as you said, you know, it's always great.
yeah,
I am so sad that there is a day that's going to come where I have exhausted, you know, the full canon of Hitch, you know. So
yeah.
you know, it's we'll get there. It's going to take a while. I mean, it's going to take a good long while, and then
Hopefully,
yes,
yeah.
yes. So I'm trying to pace myself as we go, but imminently rereadable as well. So
Of
I
course.
just reread Mortality on my birthday. Sat down and read the whole of it
Right.
because I not in any morbid sense really. I just I can't help it when the calendar rolls around every year, get to my birthday for some reason. I just you know you kind of take stock and think about the fact that you only get so many of them, and I think Mortality is such a good um, examination of you know of life and of coming to terms with you know dying eventually. So
The last chapter where it's his notes. Every single time that crumbles me.
it's
I was actually thinking of because I think um, yeah, I think he died in December, didn't he? And I was
yes,
actually thinking of releasing a review of Mortality, on the day that he died, as an anniversary thing.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I mean, you know, I all of Hitchens's books are favourites amongst mine. I mean, the thing is, Letters to a Young Contrarian. There are, I mean, I was less politically knowledgeable, I suppose, when I read that. But you know, there were sections where I was like, yeah, I'm not really interested that much into this, and then like it got to him being the proper contrarian. I'm like writing really, you know, not motivationally, but constructively for the young sort of person, and that was just a goldmine. And the thing is with Hitch is that I can read his stuff, and I might not agree with it, I might not even understand it, but I can tell you one thing: I have the greatest time going through it, regardless, because of just alone the style, and the amount of different words I get taught at the same time. So yeah,
Yeah, in such an impressive vocabulary. I mean, it's yeah, I think that's something people don't like to admit when they read, or they like to read, that they are always learning new words. Like I'm literally always Googling. I mean, the English language is so expansive. I mean,
yeah.
surely you'll be reading, you know, for your whole life and picking up the dictionary. Ideally, you know, less and less over time, but it's you know, it's never, truly never ending. But yeah, mortality in Letters to a Young Contrarian as well. I remember the first time I read that. I think I've read through it 2 or 3 times now. Read last year. I ran through it again, but has that famous paragraph, perhaps his most famous written paragraph, about beware the irrational. You know,
Legendary.
Yes, that whole run. Yeah, that's got to be one of the best, you know, pieces of prose I've encountered. And some of his best thinking. It's so funny that they had him write, you know, the book about, you know, being a contrarian. I think it's because he opens the book with you know, I'm not a contrarian, but I'm writing the book on being a contrarian, you know, on and on and on. Yeah, I think that's so funny that they had him do that, but he was, you know, and that's part of the reason another thing I so much enjoy about him is that he was so full of these sort of contradictions. You know, he calls it his Hitch 22, right? The name of the autobiography. And I don't know, there's something about the honesty of that he didn't shy away from changing his mind, or shy away from saying something that previously he had, you know, maybe disagreed with, or didn't line up with his whole narrative. But I think there's an honesty to that. You know, so many of these people we encounter are just so polished and nothing's ever out of place. And the fact that they changed their mind 20 years ago, you know, now it's, you know, now they think differently is unthinkable. I'm like, are we not human beings? Are we not people? And with Hitch, I always felt that he did such a good job of owning all those differences.